Alright guys, today we're going to be going over angle relationships. Angle relationships. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a little bit of vocab. Okay, so let's talk about congruent angles. Congruent angles are two angles that are of the same measurement, meaning they're equal. So for example, if I had angle A and angle B, angle A and angle B would be equal. So if they were congruent angles, they would be equal to each other. The next one we're going to have is supplementary. Supplementary meaning two angles that, when added together, equal 180 degrees. So for example, if I had angle A and angle B, and I added those two together, they would be equal to 180 degrees. And then that would make them supplementary. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is parallel lines. Parallel lines are two lines that will never intersect. So for example, if I have a line and another line, like so, and we'll call it line M and line N. Okay, we'll call these lines are parallel lines. That means that they'll never intersect. Okay, what if I were to draw another line through them, like so, and I'll call that one line T. Well, that line, we would call it a transversal line. Okay, and a transversal line is a line that goes through both parallel lines. Okay. Now, what if we had angles on these lines? So what if I were to label this as angle 1, this is angle 2, angle 3, angle 4. And we would label this as angle 5, angle 6, angle 7, and angle 8. Okay, well, we can call these angles different things. So let's say I'm going to call these interior. Alright, interior angles. Alright, interior angles are angles that are between or inside the parallel lines. So in this case, all my interior angles would be right here. So 2, 3, 5, and 8 would be considered interior. Angle 2, angle 3, angle 5, and angle 8 would be considered interior. We can also have, oops, let's write this in red, exterior angles. Okay, and exterior angles are angles that are outside the parallel lines. So in this case, these would be exterior, and these would be exterior. So angle 1, 4, 7, and 6. Are all considered exterior angles. Okay, we have a couple more definitions. We can have same side angles. Okay, same side angles are angles that are on the same side of what? Well, they're on the same side of the transversal. So in this case, if I were to cover up this side of the transversal, angle 4, 3, 8, and 7 are all considered the same side. And if I were to cover up the other side of the transversal, angle 1, 2, 5, and 6 would be considered the same side. We can also have alternate. Again, I've got to write this in red. And these are angles that are on opposite sides. Of the transversal. So for example, angle 1 and 4 are alternate angles. Angle 2 and 8 are alternate angles. Angle 7 and 6 are alternate angles, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's half of the notes. The other half is there's a little foldable that I asked y'all to print out. Okay, and so we're going to take our scissors, alright, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and trim off all this excess on the top right here. Next thing I'm going to do, okay, is I'm going to cut there to there to the black line. I'm going to cut in between every single one of these little lines, and I'm going to stop at the black line, like so. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. This time I'm going to cut right above the words. I'm going to stop at the black line. Now these little excess flaps up here at the top of this white, I'm just going to go ahead and cut those off. Because I'm not worried about them. Okay, before I glue it in, we're going to go ahead and we're going to write on it. Alright, but it is going to go right here. Okay, where I have that room, that empty space. So it'll look something like that. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about this real quick. So using the definitions that we were just talking about, okay, looking at this right here, we can see that my angles are labeled. I have my two parallel lines and my transversal. Okay, and this first one we're going to be working on are what we call corresponding angles. Okay, and all I'm doing here, guys, is the angles I'm labeling are considered corresponding angles. All I'm doing is I'm defining the relationship between these angles. Alright. So, what are the corresponding angles? Well, if I were to draw a little window frame right here, I would draw another window frame right here. Okay, corresponding angles are angles that are in the corresponding window frames. So if I turn this like so, you can see how they might make like little windows, right? So that would be the little frames. Top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. Top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. Okay, and corresponding angles are the corresponding window frames. So in this case, for example, angle 1 and angle 5 would be corresponding. Angle 3 and angle 7 would be corresponding. Angle 6 and angle 2 are corresponding angles. Angle 4 and angle 8 are corresponding angles. So now these angles are congruent angles. So if we look at angle 1 and we look at angle 5, we should be able to see that they are the same angle. So this angle is equal to this angle. So angle 1 is equal to angle 5. Angle 2 is equal to angle 6. Angle 3 is equal to angle 7. And angle 4 is equal to angle 8. Because they're congruent angles, meaning they're the same. Okay, and what are the rules with them? Well, both angles must be on the same side. One of the angles must be an interior angle, and one of the angles must be an exterior angle in order for them to be considered corresponding. And then the last thing we're going to say is over here that corresponding angles are congruent angles, meaning they're equal to each other. So if I were to ask you what is the relationship between angle 1 and angle 5, you would be able to tell me that angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding angles and they are congruent. So that's all I'm doing here, guys. I'm defining what these angles are, defining the relationship between them. So again, if I ask you what's the relationship between angle 3 and angle 7, you should be able to tell me they're corresponding angles. Okay. So let's go to the next one. Okay, this one time we're working on alternate interior angles. Okay, alternate angle meaning that they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So this is one side of the transversal, this is the other side of the transversal. Interior angles meaning they're the inside angles. So I'm not worried about 1, 4, 6, or 7. I'm only looking at 2, 3, 5, and 8 because those are all the interior angles. Okay. So if I take a look at angle 2, the alternate interior angle to angle 2 would be angle 8. And if I look at angle 3, the alternate interior angle to angle 3 would be angle 5. Now these angles are going to be considered congruent. Right, if we look, we can see that angle 2 is the same angle as angle 8. So they are going to be congruent, so angle 2 is equal to angle 8, and angle 3 is equal to angle 5, making these angles congruent. So again, if I ask you what is the relationship between angle 3 and angle 5, you would tell me that they are alternate interior angles. Okay, next up is alternate exterior angles, meaning alternate meaning they're on opposite sides of the transversal. External meaning they're exterior, meaning they're the exterior angles. So we're not worried about 2, 3, 5, or 8. We're only looking at 1, 4, 6, and 7. Okay, so if we look at angle 1, okay, angle 1, the alternate exterior to angle 1 would be angle 7. Then look at angle 4, the alternate exterior to angle 4 would be angle 6. And these angles are also going to be congruent. So I can say that angle 1 is equal to angle 7, and angle 4 is equal to angle 6. And they are what we would consider as congruent angles. Okay, let's look at the next one, which is same side interior angle. So again, I'm only dealing with interior angles, and I'm looking at ones that are on the same side of the transversal. So I'm not looking at 1, 4, 6, or 7. I'm looking at 2, 3, 5, and 8. If you notice, 2 and 5 are on the same side of the transversal. So 2 and 5 would be considered considered same side interior angles. And angle 3 and angle 8 would also be considered same side interior angles. Now if we notice, angle 2 and angle 5 are not the same angle. They don't have the same measurement. But we do call these supplementary angles. So if I were to take angle 2 and add it to angle 5, it would be equal to 180 degrees. Same thing with angle 3. If I take angle 3 and add it to angle 8, it's going to be equal to 180 degrees. Making same side interior angles supplementary. Next up is same side exterior. So again, we're only looking at the exterior angles, the angles on the outside, and they have to be on the same side. So 1 and 6 would be same side exterior angles. The other ones would be 4 and 7. And again, these are not congruent, but they are supplementary. So if I were to take angle 1 and add it to angle 6, I would get 180 degrees. If I were to take angle 4 and add it to angle 7, I would also get 180 degrees, meaning these angles are supplementary. Now luckily, the only ones that are supplementary are same side angles. So I like to call that triple S. So if you see S, S, and S, same side is supplementary. So same side angles, same side interior angles, and same side exterior angles are both going to be supplementary. Okay, the last one we're looking at is vertical pairs. So vertical pairs are angles that are directly opposite each other. Directly opposite each other. So for example, 1 and 3 would be considered vertical pairs. Angle 2 and angle 4 would be considered vertical pairs. Angle 5 and angle 7 would be considered vertical pairs. And angle 6 and angle 8 would be considered vertical pairs. And these are going to be congruent. If you notice, angle 1 and angle 3 are the same angle, meaning that angle 1 is equal to angle 3, angle 2 is equal to angle 4, angle 5 is equal to angle 7, and angle 6 is equal to angle 8, making vertical pairs congruent. So now take that in, put it into your page right here, right? That way it looks something like so. Okay. And you're done. And that's it for today.